Folic acid,
folic
niacin.
acid. We know all good things are happening here.
Uh,
Do we have any data, trial saying that, okay, you know what, millets decreases your A1C levels?
Oh, that's a very good question. One of the biggest challenge that we had was the absence of data when we started our journey some
Correct.
10, 12 years back and all this. So with the help of the National Institute of Nutrition, Indian Institute of Millet Research has taken up a very big lead in trying to initiate some studies in terms of how the efficacy of millets for the school children. So the supplementation with jowar or sorghum. Second one is how this is good for, because today's context, when you are going for a commercialization of these products, you said bringing onto the plate. In between, entrepreneur or the startup has to do all this. The labeling is very important. Now, Indian regulatory authorities, FSSAI, the Food Standards Institute, they will be regulating all these things. So, if you are going to claim anything, the evidences must be produced. So, it makes us very more responsible for bringing out clinical studies and bring out the evidences. So, we brought out some of the evidences, how they are good for the children and for the diabetic people also.
What did you find in children?
It was in body mass index, hemoglobin levels, and were tested all anthropometric things for 8 months study that which we.
So you did a study for 8 months.
8 months among the hostel girls and boys. Then we studied that.
What age group?
This was up to 12 years.
12 years. Okay.
6 to 12 years.
6 to 12 years you gave millets. And then you followed them upon for 8 months.
8 months. 8 months, and we found the results were very encouraging. So it is published now. And then subsequently we took another.
And what happened? I'm sorry. 8 months after, you said anthropometric measures is your body weight,
body
height,
mass index, height, all those things. Including the hemoglobin levels.
So hemoglobin levels went up.
And
the body mass index went down.
Especially among the school-going children, especially among the girls, it was rampant. Actually, the hemoglobin levels were anemic. So we found it was a very useful thing to intervene, bring in intervention by bringing millet-based diets. We gave some chapatis every day, lunch with sambar and other things, and we found
millet chapati.
Millet chapati.
So millet jowar
chapati.
Jowar chapati. So jowar chapati between 6 to 12 year
girls and boys.
But increase the hemoglobin levels.
For
8 months. Wow.
It was.
And the study is published.
Study is published. The second study, what I was talking about, how that we took up some community studies and try to understand that what will be the impact on the diabetes. You can tell that traditionally Nani said this is good for that, good for diabetes and all this. Today's context, we need to generate the data and all that. Now we studied the 3 months behavior of the community studies with 30 subjects that which we studied, which was a small study, not a very big thing. Later subsequently it was scaled up and all those things, but even that has given a very positive results of within 3 months that we could see the 50% supplementation with jowar sorghum food has resulted in bringing down the HbA1c levels from 7.9 to 7.3. Again, this is also published.
From 7.9 to 7.3, A1c has been decreased.
Within 3 months. Within 3 months in a community trials. So, later then now it is being scaled up. Actually, meta-analysis is being conducted, and now a lot of data is generated over a period of time after that, because of the international year of. We are looking for some global studies to endorse these things.
So I know it's in baby stages. When do you think it's going to blow up?
Now I think that's what I'm telling you. I feel that in another 3 years, even the global institutions must come forward in assessing the claims that which Indian governments or Indian research institutes are making, so that we see that there are nations and like Africa and other nations which are traditionally grow millet consuming states and all those things. We see their health, and most of them they contribute to even the athletics. You see that it is flooded by people from Africa, and we see that there are some studies also found out why Africans coming from certain area were so resilient in winning marathon on a continuous basis. So they have tried back in USA, they survey, and they found that mainly it was because of their food habits. And then they pointed that jawar was their food.
Is that right?
Yes,
so jawar is a pretty staple diet in
Africa. So we see that these studies now, it is not anecdotal things. Correct. We need hardcore research data that
evidence.
Now we have tied up with the Indian Liver and Biliary Sciences, trying to see that again the gut related things, and that how non-alcoholic fatty liver diseases are going to millet is going to help to reduce those things, because I think very soon the results are going to.
I'll tell you why that might be helpful is because millet is of low glycemic index, and it will make you keep fuller for a long time. So the calorie intake will go down.
Yes.
So then the liver will get better.
Yes. So this is what actually you'll be surprised to know that. There was no commercialization. The challenge came after making all the technologies to take it to the public. There is no brand how to take it. The very first brand which we brought out was from Indian Institute of Millet Research was Eat Right. So this Eat Right brand.
Eat Right is a brand of millet.
First brand of millet. So
what kind? Like sorghum, bajra, or all kinds?
So all put together. All millets under single brand. So we had really just debated on that, why we should make that name and all. So you said that you never end up overeating in millets.
Correct.
You have that signal in your mind that it's enough. Satiation and satiety it happens much earlier than the wheat and rice.
Wow.
So that's the reason that your gut health, all health are. And I think very interesting thing I would like to say is that most of the cereals, they are acid forming. Their pH is acidic form. But you see in case of millets, especially ragi, it is an alkaline cereal.
Wow.
So that helps your acidity problems, which I think thousands of millions of people are suffering because of the food habits they have with high masala, especially in Indian context, and even irritating IBS and many other things. So I think it's a very important thing, that understanding the goodness of millets, how we can really project them and take to the various vulnerable groups.
Wow. So, drinking ragi kanchi, many people have told me that, it feels so soothing.
Yes.
So I was thinking, probably it's good gut bacteria, so they're getting better. But looks like alkalinity might have neutralized the acidity.
Yes. Definitely it has. But I think some concrete studies must happen, because these anecdotal references are okay. But when you are going global, when you are projecting India as a global hub of millets, evidences are very important.
Who can take this millet? Any age restriction?
So, millets for all.
Millets for all. So right from, 3-year-old, 4-year-old?
I think what I feel is that after 6 months onward, see the tradition says so. So the ragi malt is ragi is used as a weaning food. So we take from there that children can be. But I'm a little of when I say that it is good for all, but the way you process differs. Or to my understanding that children's, I think they need a lot of micronutrients, because that builds the disease resistance. And many a time the fiber will be presence of fiber in higher quantities will hinder the absorption of micronutrients. So children needs more of a refined foods relatively, so that the micronutrient absorption can take place in a proper quantities. Now, when you go to the age wise and all those things, I think for the rest, once they get into the adult, from youth to adult and then the geriatric, I think the fiber content must grow. And given the current type of the junk food that which people are using, so I think this is what very important. Now there are some safety net programs where for children, lactating mother, pregnant mothers and lactating mother. So the diet is different. We are doing some pilots with that. where the fiber is one of the variable factor.
So it is okay for pregnant women, lactating
Then
women.
for them it is good.
Mm.
So the bowel movement and all those things are fiber
Slows
is
down.
very essential thing. But in case of children, especially below 6, I think one has to be very cautious. That is the age where one should be able to regulate it. But otherwise, I think, but it all depends on how palatable you make it is very important.
Don't worry about kids less than 6 years of age in US because we are eating pizza. So don't worry about it. Millet pizza. So no, not yet. So we talked about diabetes, correct?
Okay.
Millet can be used in diabetes because it decreases the A1C levels. How about thyroid levels? Is there any data?
See, the thyroid level, what we call is there is one report that has come, especially the world over, millet and sorghum are separated. So but they don't, so far they have not equalized, saying that sorghum is also part of millet. They say sorghum and millets. So whenever a millet word is used, it is primarily refers to pearl millet. Bajra. So in bajra, it is reported there are some goitrogen. You see, flavonoids that are present in bajra has some goitrogenic effect.
Goitrogenic is causing some thyroid problems.
So especially hypothyroidism.
Correct.
So you know that how it suppresses the thyroid
hormones.
So that's the reason. There was one report that has come, one publication that is now making all the tours. But what I feel is that if you get into the India's condition, that a National Nutrition Board, monitoring board is there. Population studies they will conduct and all this thing. You don't see anywhere, even including Rajasthan, this is not reported. To my understanding, when you go to the cultivar based, that is reported in Sudan. Pearl millet, goitrogenic effects and all. Only one paper. So, but there's no point. Even if somebody suggests that Indian cultivars, most likely they do not have this flavonoids to that extent, which can
suppress the
things. Okay. But I think one advice could be just they can go on a moderate level.
So not adding everything.
It's a very mild effect, if at all, if it is, because it's not. National Nutrition Monitoring Board has never reported as an endemic or epidemic.
It's a very good point, because there's the same concept for soy as well. Soybean also has flavonoids. And the concern is that flavonoids interfere with the thyroxine absorption. But the difference is Indian cultivated flavonoids are very low compared to US or other countries. So the likelihood of that interfering with absorption of thyroxine is extremely low. So the same concept with pearl millet.
Yeah, I think this is what we are just trying to allay that fear. We are trying to understand cultivars which are grown in India and trying to make a nutrition profile.